Hi guys, G.I. Joe here, and welcome back to my bunker here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're here talking to you about the victory points for Sire Blood's Bloodbath rules. This is part 2, and we will be dealing with the Pacific side of the map at this point. If you haven't had a chance to watch my first video, I will put a link to that video down in the description, and that way you can watch the video that pertains to the Europe side of the map as well as all the victory cities. One thing I will also do in this description box is I will also put a link to the Axis victory scorecard so that you can follow along or maybe download this or print this, so in case you want to use this in your own gaming at home, okay? So without further ado, let's go ahead and head to the video explaining the victory points for the Pacific Theater. Okay, so now let's deal with the points that the Axis can obtain in the Pacific Theater. So if we look at our card and we scroll down, we first see Pacific Oil. It says all 4 Pacific Dutch islands. So obviously that would be the Sumatra, that would be Java, that would be Celebes, and even though it does not have an IPC value, that would be Dutch New Guinea. Okay, so those 4 islands being controlled at the end of the 8th round, or however many out rounds you play, would be 1 point towards the Axis. Now, you know, that's typically part of the money island chain that you know, is a national objective for Japan. However, you can obviously see the difficulty of this because with Manila being right here, you know, if the Americans decide to make this a stronghold, then they can easily be a nuisance to Japan in taking these. Not to mention, I don't know if you can see down here, it's a little bit off camera, but Sydney is right here, okay? So that's a tough point to get, you know? It's not as easy as you would think. So that is one of the Pacific Theater points. Okay, now let's talk about one. Let's see here. Let's talk about resources. Now, resources is actually a point that typically would be a combined Axis move or joint venture to ensure this point, because as you can see, it says here, resources, Ukraine, Urals, and Siberia. So if we go to our map, of course, Siberia is, I'm going to put a marker, is here, as you can see there, all right? Then you have the Urals here, and then you have Ukraine over here. So, yeah, you barely can see that in my screen. Let me move over. So as you can see, that's spread out pretty far. So that would be some type of coordinated effort between all of the Axis powers. So that, you know, this is typically the Ukraine is something that maybe Germany or Italy would go after. Urals, typically Germany, unless for some reason some Japanese get some tanks back here behind the Soviets and blitzing through eastern and central Russia. And then of course Siberia would be a point that most likely Japan would take. So again, that's a coordinated effort between all 3 Axis powers. So that's something that you definitely need to communicate about before you attempt to take that point. All right, and let's talk about now the last, I think, Pacific point. No, I'm sorry, there's 2 more Pacific points. The other one is China, all Chinese marked territories. Now, of course, as you know, Japan starts off in this set. They control these opening Chinese territories at the beginning of the game. Now, in order to get the Chinese point, obviously you would need to take Yunnan, Hunan, Anhui, Chahar, Suian, Hopei, Kwaichao, Sichuan. You would need to take Xikang. You would need to also take Qinghai. You would need to take Shenxi. Well, sorry, I don't have any. Those aren't red markers, sorry. Let me put the treasures out. So Qinghai, Shenxi, and then the last one you would need to take is Kansu. Okay? So that would give you the China point. Now, incidentally, in Cyberblood's rules, if Japan takes all of China, that's also a 10 IPC national objective. So, and I think it's a great idea, because if Japan's going to spend all the resources to take all of China, it should definitely be worth something. Now, if you notice, I didn't put Kwangtung here because it has the Union Jack roundel on it. So that is not, you do not have to have Kwangtung in order to achieve the China point, okay? Now, again, that's harder than you think it would be, because as you know, the Soviets are lurking during the war, and they typically make some type of move into Manchuria or Korea, and that's a horde of what, 18 infantry plus 2 AAAs. Not to mention you've got India coming up through Burma to try to support the Burma Road here in Yunnan. So that's not an easy point to get. So, but nonetheless, that is the China point. So, and then after that, I want to talk about one more point here. Get these out of the way. Okay. We will talk about one more point on the Pacific side, and that is right down here. Pacific Islands. It says any 4 originally controlled United States or United Kingdom islands. Now, there are a lot of islands over here, so let me move over to the right a little bit. There are a lot of islands over here. However, some of them count towards this point and some of them don't. It is self-explanatory. However, there is an island or two that sometimes confuses people, so I want to make sure that that is very clear. So what we have here is Borneo, of course, is a United Kingdom island, so that would count. Okay, so that would be an island. And over here, just so you know, Ceylon, this island just off of India, it does have the Union Jack. It is technically on the Pacific side of the map. Like if you were to buy the Pacific, AP40 map or game, whatever. However, this is in the Indian Ocean, so this island does not count. Does not count. Okay, so we have here's our options. We have Borneo. Of course, we have the Philippines. Now, if you take Manila, this actually serves towards 2 points. You take Manila, that's 1 point because you control a victory city, and then it's also one of the islands towards your Pacific Island point. Of course, you have Guam, no IPC value, but it counts towards a point. Over here, let's see, we have, of course, you have Wake Island, no IPC value as well. Midway, you have the Johnston Islands. You have Line Islands, you have the Gilbert Islands. Down here in the lower right-hand corner, you have Fiji, Samoa. Japan getting there without tipping their hand is almost impossible. But there's one more island that is included. I've specifically asked Cyberblood about that, and that is the Aleutian Island chain up here in C-Zone 8. So any 4 of these islands held, oh, and I missed one. Yes, the Hawaiian Islands count. So if the Japanese take Honolulu, that counts as a victory point for controlling Honolulu, but then controlling that island could also be counted towards one of the 4. So a possible scenario might be Japan has Borneo, Japan has the Philippines, Japan has Guam, all right, right there, and then they can grab the Aleutian Islands or Midway or Wake or perhaps the Hawaiian Islands. Now, of course, you can see the difficulty in this because, once again, you've got Anzac, Australia, being a nuisance down here. And, of course, you know taking the Hawaiian Islands is tough because the United States is 1 move away from San Francisco and possibly taking that back. But one thing to consider is these islands, you can get, technically, you can get this point in 1 move. And typically such as a late round move, like say round 8. And the chances of you getting this by an American player that's pretty seasoned and experienced, probably slim to none. But let's say Japan had 4 transports parked right here. Let me get a few transports. I'm a visual learner. So Japan has 4 transports. And let's say they've got however many guys on the mainland there. Well, as you can see, Japan is 1, 2, okay? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So in one move, that point can be acquired. So, you know, that might be a possible late round attempt to grab the move. Now, of course, if you're going to do that, if you've got a whole entire U.S. Navy sitting right here, those points are not going to be very safe. Now, but you know, if U.S. has gone full bore Atlantic, and you see an opportunity here, you know, you got to kind of think ahead, but you got to be careful not to tip your hand too soon. Otherwise, that point would not last. Probably safer would be down in here, 1, 2, 3, and then try to grab one of these points or one of these islands to maintain that those 4 islands to grab that point. Of course, if you take tons of islands, then and America doesn't have the chance to take all of them back on their last turn, then you know, you increase your odds of grabbing that point. Okay, so once again, those are all the points that have to deal with the Pacific. You have Pacific Islands, which we just covered. You have the China point, and oh, there's one other, the South Asia point. So let's look at that real quick. Sorry, this video is going a little long, but that's okay. So the South Asia point is right down in here. If I look at this, whoops, sorry. The South Asia point, I have Burma. You got to control Burma. You have to control Shan State. You have to control Siam, French Indochina, Malaya. Okay? So you have to control those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 territories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right? Again, the challenge, of course, because India is sitting right here, and of course, an Anzac is always a pest. So those are the points that you can obtain in the Pacific Theater. Okay? So I hope this helps. I hope this clears things up regarding the point system. And like I said earlier, we are going to be going out to Oklahoma here in about a month and a half, and going to be testing out Sired's new map, as well as a few tweaks to his house rules. And any changes that are made, of course, we'll come back here and share those with you. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks.